Hey guys, it's Andrew Esquivel here, back with another review, and today I'm going to be reviewing the XY-2831 sponge filter for your aquariums. So, this sponge filter is only a few dollars, and for the $3 or $4 that you pay, you actually get quite a bit. Sponge filter here is rated for anywhere up to 10 gallons. Now, what I have it is in a 2.5 gallon micro aquarium. And to demonstrate how this thing works, I've actually got it hooked up to a pump that is way more powerful than necessary. Now, a sponge filter works quite simply. Beneficial bacteria gather on top of the sponge, which, as you can see here, there's a lot of surface area for it to do so. And the nitrifying bacteria feeds on the nitrites and ammonia that your fishy buddies produce. So, in order to make this thing work, you are going to need more than just a sponge filter. You're going to need an air pump, some air line hose, and most definitely recommended, a check valve. So, let's go over the little setup I've got here. So this, in its entirety, is the small tank I have. And like I was saying before, I've got it hooked up to a pump that is way more powerful than necessary. Normally you would use a small pump like this rated for anywhere up to 5 gallon aquariums, but I've got it hooked up to this massive thing which is rated for about 100 gallon aquarium, and you can tell how much air these pumps produce based on their specifications on how many, depending on how they state it, could be cubic feet per minute of airflow, it could be PSI that they rate it in. Every manufacturer does it a little different. But for this little setup, it's a dual output air pump that I have a T connector valve and a check valve here going to the sponge filter down here. Now I'm going to move the glass aside, and as you can see, that's actually quite a lot of water flow, even for a 2.5 gallon aquarium. Well, especially for a 2.5 gallon aquarium, I should say. But what's nice about this little thing is everything is adjustable, including the head. This thing, I'll call it the periscope, can raise and lower itself depending on how your tank is set up. I have mine going just above the water line. And this can also move forward, backwards, as well as the sponge can move on an angle to whichever way you like it to be. And on the very back there is a suction cup. So if you are considering a sponge filter, general applications for it tend to be for more delicate fish like shrimp, or in some cases if you don't want too much water movements and you don't want to get an internal filter like that uses cartridges or hang on back, you might consider a sponge filter for a betta fish. But overall, I find it to be quite good for my little aquarium here that I have for wild critters. I've got a little banded killifish right there. And on top of everything it does, I want to say it probably adds a decent bit of aeration as well, depending on the motor. And I say that because you've got an air line coming in here, it creates a vacuum that sucks up the water and makes the water come out the top little spigot. And there's really not much complexity to a sponge filter. It's very well built for the price points. It's actually quite large. Larger than I expected, but it fit perfectly in my 2.5 gallon. Now, in a 2.5 gallon, it does take up a decent bit of real estate, but what it's designed for, which is the 10 gallon aquariums, it won't take up much real estate in your tank. So, that being said, it does the job. It, does exactly what it's supposed to do. The only thing I wish it came with was some recommendations for pump strength, because unlike a hang-on back or an internal cartridge filter or canister, there's no particular set of parameters that dictates how much water flow is going on, so it doesn't tell you how many gallons per hour it is. which I want to say there's probably a formula out there to determine gallons per hour based on the PSI and cubic feet per minute of airflow that's going through the airlines, but I could be wrong. So that's the one thing that's difficult about sponge filters, is gauging how much water flow you got going on. But if you got sensitive fish like a betta, or you want it in a shrimp tank, this is very popular for shrimp tanks. It works fantastic. It's extremely gentle, and although you don't see it on the filters themselves, you can definitely see the water coming out when using the 100-gallon rated air pump. So this is definitely more than what this pump was designed to handle, and it's been holding up quite well. So even if you add way more air than necessary into the lines, it still holds up very well. I think this is an absolutely superb product, and like I said, it's only like $3 or $4 on Amazon. It's an absolute steal. I would imagine this product would probably retail in a store for like $15-20, but yeah, it's very well constructed. It's completely adjustable, and all you need is an air pump. So it's definitely got the green light for me. I like this product very much. So thanks for viewing, guys. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, show your friends, check out my other videos. I got plenty of them, and I will see you next time.